What's up, guys? Just found my AirPods finally. You saw that last video. I was using my wire. Last couple of videos, I've been using like a wired headphones, but finally got them back. But I saw a article. I think it was posted a couple days ago. I don't remember the exact date, but the article was by the New York Times, and it was about an older man. I think in his late 60s, an ardent and very ardent Trump supporter of that kind of party. He was the Rush Limbaugh type of guy, the Alex Jones, the Candace Owens type, that type of Trump supporter. And he was battling cancer. And he was in an old folks' home, and he pretty much was low on money, and a lot of his money he had saved up was used for cancer treatment. Which, by the way, medical debt in of itself is something that shouldn't exist. That's a belief of mine that, as an American, if we're the richest country in the history of the world, and we can spend like almost $1 trillion a year on our military budget, the least we could do is, give 10% of that to giving Americans health care for the rest of their lives. I don't think that's too unreasonable, but that's not what the point of this discussion is today. The man ended up donating, listening to Rush Limbaugh and all these Republican talking heads talk about, the Trump campaign needed this. This was during the Stop the Steal election, of course. And they were saying, donate to Mr. Trump's campaign. They're in dire need of funds. Stop the steal. Don't let the radical leftist, Marxist, socialist, throw in a spectrum left-wing term that you want to use. Don't let them steal the election. And this guy, being an older gentleman who probably isn't the most politically educated, right, heard this on his radio or on TV and was like, I got to do something. I want to step up and protect my country. And, he goes to donate a one-time $500 check, right? And over the course of a month, he sees that every week, $500 is siphoned over, then $1,000, then $2,000, then $3,000. And he ends up losing quite a few $1,000s in the process. As it turns out, the Trump official website where you would donate to his campaign had it in fine print to where it wasn't noticeable. And for someone that is older, that isn't used to the internet and isn't very tech savvy like some of us younger people, they see that they don't look at the fine print. They barely know how to use the computer itself or technology itself, let alone read fine print and and know how to cancel reoccurring payment. The default setting on the Trump campaign donation was a reoccurring payment. So every week he would be billed $500 to $1,000. It was discretionary to the Trump campaign, of course. And the guy didn't know that. He's an older gentleman. Probably didn't understand battling cancer. And he didn't understand how to work it. And this dude went bankrupt. Because the Trump campaign just siphoned money. And I think that's kind of a cautionary tale of the whole Trump campaign and Trump presidency itself. The fact that, you can even look back to Trump before he was president. You look at from the reports from 2015, 2016, when he's running for president, all the people that came out and said, yeah, he stiffed me. He ripped me off. I built this casino for him, built this golf course for him, built the foundation to, whatever Trump building you want. And the guy didn't pay me. He stiffed me, or he fired all my workers, hired scab workers, and recycled them so he wouldn't have to pay them a high salary. And Trump did this throughout his career, because he had such enormous debts from his failed businesses, and he was constantly in bankruptcy, that he had to do all these scams to do it. And I think that's the wider thing, like I said, of the Trump presidency, because to quote Kyle Kulinski on Secular Talk, you should check him out. He's an amazing left-wing commentator. He said that, and I this stuck with me. He said that Trump is the greatest con man in history, in human history. The guy lied himself and bullshitted himself into the most powerful position in the world. And if you even look back to 2017, the Build the Wall with Steve Bannon, who was running that organizer, over 90% of the funds from Build the Wall went to Steve Bannon and Trump's pocket, and the Trump family pocket. So, and that's one of the reasons why Trump pardoned him, because he was a co-conspirator with him. And it goes to a larger sentiment that there's like a cult of personality behind politicians. So the right-wing version is obviously the Trump. He's like the mega god, the Emperor Trump. But if you look on the left, you see, with the more quote-unquote K-hive, as they're called on the internet, people that, you know, swallow anything Kamala Harris or Joe Biden have to say, or even someone like AOC, who just recently donated $160,000 of grassroots money, mind you, because she doesn't take corporate money. She takes small dollar donations, but then uses your small dollar donations to give to corporate politicians. I mean, there's this cult of personality behind politicians that, you don't know, give them more time, they're trying, or they can only do so much in their position of power. When in reality, these politicians don't give a shit about you, and we treat them like they're gods and they're religious idols. When in reality, we should be checking them, checking their power. And it makes me honestly sad for Americans that we fall into this repetitive cycle of just believing what the establishment tells us because that's our party or their party, and we don't question it. Now, there's a difference between questioning whether, you know, vaccines work or versus questioning whether us invading a country is right. And, you know, even if with the vaccine thing, you should question it. You shouldn't be ardent against it, but it is reasonable to question it. Because look at the Tuskegee experiment where they gave black people unknowingly amounts of syphilis. There's reason to question it. But we shouldn't take politicians' word as gold. And I think that's kind of the summary of this talk, because I feel so bad, and I feel like I get sad almost. Like seeing people who just take to the chin everything they're right, like, especially for Republicans, because a lot of those people have just been lied to and cheated out of the system effectively for years, and their vote means nothing, even if they were in the left and they went right. And, you know, Democrats are just as corrupt as Republicans, and they've just been lied to, and so they fall into this line of voting behind demagogues and ideologues, these charismatic, you know, woe is me type of politician that, you know, it just lies to you. They lie to you and they scam you, and they don't have your best interest in mind. And it's sad, really, that, and I'm not saying all, you know, politicians are like this. I'm sure there's politicians out there that genuinely mean what they think. Even if what they're doing is right or wrong, they might think they're actually helping the American people. But if you look at what policies they support, a lot of times it doesn't help at all. Like being anti-union is one of the ones that really makes me upset, that people, you know, have this anti-union rhetoric, and that really gets under my skin. But that's a conversation for a different time. So just want to get that off my chest, and I hope you guys have a good one.